out on the street for a living. Pictures only begun. Ooh, got you under their thumb. Bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da bum ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da, out on the street for a living. Pictures only begun. Your day is sown in madness, got you under their thumb. Ooh, black diamond. Ooh, black diamond. Ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da bum. Ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da bum. Ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da bum. Ba da bum ba da bum ba da ba ba bum. Ba da ba da ba da bum. Hoka hey. Bonjour, welcome back to BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO, the podcast about Ojibwe language and culture, the live stream about Ojibwe language and culture. My name is Michael Lyons, and this is the pre-show audio warm-up. I was just on a minute ago and realized I couldn't see the chats. YouTube's doing something kind of weird where I have to mark it as a children's show. I didn't get an official strike, but I've been kind of garbled with this week on my live stream for some reason. Anyway, we're back, and normally we go on at 6 o'clock, so I'm not really expecting anybody to be here just yet, but this is the early morning live stream. Our Ojibwe word of the day, Bemidji Gamug. Bemidji Gamug is the Ojibwe word for this area that I'm filming from, where I'm living. Bemidji Gamug Nindonjiba. I live in Bemidji, Minnesota. This is in north central Minnesota, sort of between Leech Lake and Red Lake reservations. And if I had a pick, I would play a song for you now with a harmonica. Ouch. Christine Berry's here. Bonjour, Christine. Mino Giga Jeb. Good morning. Oh, I came on a little early this morning to test the audio, and I think it's going to work. We have our big show tonight, and there we go. Look at that. I have a pick after all. So I wanted to make sure that the guitar would come through. In a long December, well, there's reason to believe maybe this year will be better than the last. I can't remember the last thing that she said as she was leaving. Now the days go by so fast, and it's one more day up in the canyon, one more night in Hollywood. If you think that I could be forgiven, I wish you would. Na 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 yeah. BOOZHOO, done. Or Jim, I should say. Why did I call you by your last name? Yeah, no, I'm just cranking it through an amp here. I have to be ready to do the show tonight with just one microphone. So I've got the guitar really loud in this room. I can barely hear myself sing, but did the guitar and the vocals sound sort of in the same level? If the guitar was too loud, that would be good news on this end, because it's hard to sing to it. Anyway, the BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO podcast is underway. Today we're going to, Natasha and NANABOOZHOO have some stuff planned. We're going to talk about Bemidji, the origins of the name Bemidji. For some people not from Bemidji, they sometimes ask, how do you pronounce that? Even down in Minneapolis, if you ever see news from Minneapolis and they cover something up here, they'll call it Bemidji, Bemidji, I don't know. They garble it a lot because it looks weird. But the correct pronunciation of Bemidji is bay, like the bay of a lake. Even though it's spelled with an E, in the Ojibwe language, E's are pronounced as an A sound, kind of like in the word Ojibwe. We don't say Ojibwe, we say Ojibwe. So Bemidji is from the word Bemidji Gamug, which means Lake of the Crossing Water. And I'll let NANABOOZHOO explain the history behind that. Here's a song by John Cougar about towns smaller. I guess to most people in the country, Bemidji is a small town. But from where I'm from a town called LaPorte. And when I graduated, the population of our town was 111. And so a town like Bemidji was considered the big town because they had a mall and, street lights and stuff. I was born in a small town, and I live in a small town. I'll probably die in a small town or a small community. All my friends are so small town. My parents live in the same small town. And my job is so small town, provides little opportunity. Educated in a small town, taught to fear Jesus in a small town. I used to daydream in this small town, another bored romantic. That's me. Well, I've seen it all in a small town, and myself a ball in a small town. I met an LA darling, I brought her to this small town. Now she's small town just like me. Oh, I cannot forget where it is I come from. I cannot forget those who love me. I can be myself here in the small town, and people let me be just what I want to be. Yeah. And Jim says it's a good mix. All right, good. Well, without further ado, Natasha wanted to come on camera. Let me shut this off. So how are you doing today, Jim? You know, I get up so early, I have no idea what the weather's like until the sun comes up. Yeah. So Natasha, what do you have planned for today? Oh, I don't know. I was just going to say some stuff. Maybe talk about Bemidji. Maybe tell the story. Or, should I let NanaBOOZHOO tell the story of Chief Bemidji? Oh, it's really up to you. I don't know. We'll see what I feel like. Let's see. You're going to move the microphone? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, let me just move this here. And, let's see if I can do this. Hi. And keep you off camera until I need you. Somewhere over the rainbow, la-dee-da, there's a land that I heard of once in a lullaby. I'll wake up in a soo-doo-doo. All right. You just about ready there? Mm-hmm. Now, if I can reach the camera. No. You know what this is good for? What's that? Working out what we're not going to do on the show tonight. Yeah, let's not make it this awkward. What if this was a show right like this? Somewhere. How's that? Over the rainbow. Hi. And click right here. All right, now we're set. I'm still just all face. Oh well. Oh, wake up in a da-da-da. I'm doing pretty good, Jim. How are you? It's a beautiful Tuesday. It is the second day. Nijo. Geesh are good. And today we're focusing on Bemidji Gamug. Bemidji. It's a nice place to visit, but I'd hate to live here. Nah. Oh, what can I say about Bemidji? When you're from Bemidji, you don't really have much good to say about it. The town you're born in is just kind of like, I wasn't born here, but, this is pretty much my hometown. You think of it as being boring. But that's just, I guess that means your life is kind of boring. All right, not wild about the camera. We got to angle it down. Somewhere. There we go. La 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 la. Okay. So yeah, Bemidji Gamug. It's the best thing you can say about it is the things it's not. We don't have traffic jams and gridlock. People don't drive very fast here. It's the kind of town where people kind of stay out of each other's business, really. You know how, small towns get a reputation for being gossipy? And, everyone's in everyone's business. That's, there's a little bit of gossip here, but we're just big enough that, I don't know, people in Bemidji kind of ignore each other. Or maybe it's just us. Maybe they're just ignoring us, huh, Michael? But I like it because it's pretty safe town. You know, you can walk around at night and not feel scared. You know, I wouldn't say the schools are good. People are barely educated, so that's a result of the schools. But I don't really judge how good a school is or how good a town is by the schools. People in movies are always like that. Oh, we moved here because we wanted the good schools. Oh, really? Do you care that much? When I was a kid, you just went to the school that your town was in. And you lived in a town where your dad got a job. That was the order. Dad's job meant where you lived, meant what school you went to, meant who your friends were, meant the rest of your life. And that's what they kind of talk. That's what they make you believe when you're a kid. That it matters what school you go to. Oh, you got to make sure you do well in school so you can get into a good college. Oh, really? Why is that important? Well, if you get into a good college, then you can get a good job. Oh, yeah? What's a good job? There's no such thing. I like how that lady, she was on that TV show. What was that show? Full House. She paid like $500,000 to some fancy college to get her kid in. And she lied on the application, you know. She got her kid on the like rowing team or something. And she paid a lot of money so her kid could get into this fancy college. Thinking that fancy jobs were going to go, we need to hire somebody to make us money. Well, let's go comb the fancy rich kid schools. It doesn't work that way, you guys. And if your mom has $500,000 because she wants you to be rich one day, why doesn't she just give you the $1,000,000 just straight away? I don't know. That's the scam they got everyone believing. Oh, if you do well in school, you'll make a lot of money. Do your own homework because you're going to be rich one day. And then you realize it's all the cheaters and whoever that get rich. But what is getting rich? I mean, like, who cares? Oh, if only I was rich. If I were a rich woman, then I'd be happy. What makes a person rich? You know? Elders will tell you, oh, I'm rich because I've had a rich life. My family. But, you know, what makes you poor? What makes you feel impoverished? Wisdom. Aqua de Ewin. Laying down some wisdom for the children. The kids who don't watch a show, listen, you kids. You better wise up. I used to have a teacher that would always say that. Hey, wise up. Can you just choose to become wise? What makes somebody wise? That should have been the Ojibwe word of the day. Wisdom. Nibwakawin. The wisdom was, well, this kind of ties in. Wisdom in the 7 grandfather teachings. Okay, let's pull that up. So, no, I can't do it from here. Never mind. But in the 7 grandfather teachings, wisdom is represented by the beaver. The beaver, for some reason, is the animal that represents wisdom. And I think part of the reason, you know, a beaver makes lots of mistakes. Nobody ever talks about that. You know, beavers, they drop trees all the time in the wrong place. You know, half those rivers that get dammed up, that's because a beaver was trying to build a home and they screwed up. And they're like, oh, geez, now the water's all, let's get out of here. We'll go build a home somewhere else. And they go try again. and they try again. Beavers make homes over and over again. So I wonder, maybe that's why they're so wise, because they make so many mistakes. You know, you never learn anything unless you fail. You know, you gotta fail over and over again before you learn. But wisdom isn't just intelligence, you know. They don't say having a good memory is a value, you know, that don't matter. Hey, Jessica's here. BOOZHOO. How you doing, Jessica? Have you seen her? We're talking about wisdom and why the beaver represents wisdom. But this is what ties into Bemidji. So Bemidji Gamug, the lake of the crossing waters. NanaBOOZHOO, you gonna tell your story about Chief Bemidji? Yeah, I was thinking about it. Okay, I won't tell it then. But at our college here in Bemidji State College, the locals still call it that. Even though they changed their name over and over again. Now I think it's called Minnesota State University of Bemidji or something nonsense. But they're the Bemidji State Beavers. And so one year for homecoming, they invited the actor who was on a TV show called Leave It to Beaver. And he was a little boy who lived in, in suburbia or something, in black and white. And the show went off the air years ago. Nobody even remembered. Leave It to Beaver. But, so Bemidji goes, hey, we're the Beavers. Let's get Leave It to Beaver, and he'll be our master of ceremonies at homecoming. It'll be great. We can celebrate our school spirit with Leave It to Beaver. So they call up, what was that guy's name? Matherson's? John Mather. I don't even know his name. He's not really that famous. It was like the only show he was in. And so he shows up just drunk. And he's all like, hey, everybody, I'm Beaver. Beaver Cleaver. You know? It would have been funny if they'd done like a horror movie. Where Leave It to Beaver grows up, comes to Bemidji, and then brings like a steak knife and starts killing the co-eds. I am Beaver Cleaver. Nah. Grieving Turtle is here. I had breakfast with Jerry Mathers. Yeah, Jerry Mathers. He was here. What's he like? Is he kind of like a movie or a TV star? Or is he just like a dude now? Oh, brother. The BOOZHOO crew. Yeah. like the Breakfast Club. We're the BOOZHOO crew. Where's my coffee? Oh, it's way over there. I was having I've decided to cut off. I don't want to drink more than 2 gallons of coffee a day. Oh, he's old now? Oh, now I feel bad making fun of him. Maybe his grandchildren don't want to know that he was all drunk at the homecoming. But yeah, Jerry Mathers. Those old shows, they really make you sentimental, don't they? That was about 1992. Is he still alive? 92 was a long time ago now. What, 23 years ago? So if he was old and 23 years ago, hikes. But yeah, that was the programming of the old days. They're always like, this is what a family should look like. You have her mom and dad and brother and was there a little girl in Leave It to Beaver? But, the Cosby Show was like that too. Hey, look at our functional family. Here's a family that's all kind of fun and funny, and the dad is kind of perfect. And then, just like that speech in Spider-Man, remember when the Green Goblin was like, what does people love more than a hero? To watch a hero fall. And poor old Bill Cosby. What was his name? Huxtable. Clifford Huxtable. You know, he was a perfect dad. But then, time goes by, and pretty soon the world finds out what Bill Cosby's really like. And now he's in jail. They're locking up all our heroes. I'm just glad Michael Landon died before he could ever get arrested. I don't want to see Michael Landon fall. These actors, sometimes they kind of become the characters they play. And we go, oh, I like that guy because he acts a certain way. Tom Hanks, for a number of years, everybody loved him. We'd go watch him, and it would be like, oh, here's Tom Hanks. This week's he's crashing a plane. He's playing that Scully character. Tune in, Oh, look, it's Tom Hanks on a deserted island. Oh, look, it's Tom Hanks. He grew up and he's big. Oh, look, Tom Hanks, he got AIDS. Oh, geez, now Tom Hanks is in Vietnam. But he did too many movies. And you're just like, oh, for crying out loud, who is he this time? He straightened his hair and he's investigating the Vatican. Come a long way since bosom buddies Tom Hanks. But the internet now, I don't even want to get into what Tom Hanks is about. Then he played Mr. Rogers. I think that was his last role. He was Mr. Rogers. That's kind of like you, Michael. You're this generation's Mr. Rogers. Nah. He's giving me the stink eye. Don't you like Mr. Rogers? Not really. What don't you like about Mr. Rogers? Oh, he's a creep. I've never liked Mr. Rogers. I'm more of a Sesame Street guy. Yeah, me too. I always like Sesame Street better than Mr. Rogers. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Mr. Rogers, yeah. This is the creepy part about him. Mr. Rogers, he'd be singing that song. And then he comes home, opens the door, takes off his shoes, puts on his indoor shoes, takes off his little windbreaker, puts on his indoor sweater, and he's singing along. Won't you please, won't you be my neighbor? And you're thinking, hey, I'm already in your house. How can I be your neighbor? I'm basically your roommate. I mean, wasn't that his house? How come the whole show is set up like he returns home from work and we're already there, sitting in his house? Oh, welcome back, Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers. We had to call him Mr. What was it? Fred. How come we couldn't call him Fred? Hey, Fred! No, it was a time when you talked to your elders a different way. You were like, hello, Mr. Rogers. Hello there. Won't you be my neighbor? See how creepy his voice is? Won't you be my neighbor? Mr. Rogers was kind of like George Bush. Hey, Ma. My name's Mr. Rogers. We're going to get them. I mean, there was two George Bushes. There was George Bush Sr. Read my lips. No new taxes. Right? I'm so good at doing impersonations. And then there was his son. And when George W. Bush came, he was a little more evil and a little sneakier. He was like the misbehaving kind of frat boy. He was like, yeah, I'm George Bush Jr., George W. Bush. You can call me George W. Hey, Dad, can I be president next? Well, listen, George. Read my lips. You can be the president when I'm done. That's what they sounded like. What do you think, sweetie? Oh, man, you are so good at doing impersonations, sweetie. I can't even believe it. I can't even do impersonations. You can't? Can you do me? Can I do you? Yeah, I can do wait, I got a southern accent. Hold on. Okay, hey, yeah, I can do a NanaBOOZHOO accent. Wasn't that good? Anyway, what do you want? You didn't pay anything for this. Scott Bones is here. BOOZHOO, Scott Bones, and Daniel Black. Welcome to the BOOZHOO crew. We're just kind of deconstructing the Bushes for some reason. How did I get on the George Bush thing? Well, kids, back in history, there was a family who ruled the world. They were called the Bushes. I don't know. BOOZHOO, Scott, and Daniel? Here. Read my lips. What else did George Bush Sr. say? I was in the CIA. The CIA. Yeah, Dad. Oh, anyway. What's another impersonation I can do? I can do Cookie Monster. This is Cookie Monster.
Me love cookie. Me love cookie. Yeah. Me addicted to sugar. Yeah.
I can do the Count. Beijing. One. I can count. I count in Ojibwe now. Oh, let's see. I can do a million voices. So we got Cookie Monster, the Count. You know, Cookie Monster and Animal from the... What was that show called on Monday nights? I think you're thinking of the Muppet Show. Oh, yeah, the Muppet Show. Remember that drummer, Animal? He was like...
Beat on drums. Animal. Animal.
Well, Animal has the same voice as Cookie Monster.
Yeah, me love cookie.
I wonder what would happen if they were, roommates.
Hey, Animal. You need to pay phone bill.
Oh, that's hard on my throat. Sunny day. All right. Well, Michael, why don't you say a few words, and then we'll turn the show over to NANABOOZHOO, because it's called the BOOZHOO NANABOOZHOO show. It's not called the BOOZHOO Natasha and Michael show. Huh? Yeah, I don't think so. All right, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome one more time, Michael Lyons. Take it away, Michael. La la la. Do 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 do. On my way. Now you gotta move the camera, but don't let them see your mouth move when I'm singing. Yeah, okay. What I need is like a stool right about here. But until that day, you'll run to many other men, but let them know it's just for now. Tell them that I've got a dream, and tell them you're the starring role. Tell them I'm a dreaming kind of guy, and I'm gonna make my dreams. Tell them I will live my dreams. I had a friend tell me I look like the guy who wrote Hamilton. I don't know his name. But my hair's in a ponytail. And picture me with a goatee. I will sing about thee. I will write a musical. Or no, he did like a rap or something in that musical. I never saw it, Hamilton. But I think they recast everybody as African Americans. Because who even knows about history anymore? Because who even cares? As long as there's representation. Musicals. I'm not really into musicals. I find them kind of silly, actually. I mean, I love The Wizard of Oz because it was a movie I saw as a child. And I love, actually, do I like musicals? I sort of hate musicals, but in my top 10 favorite movies, I would say The Wizard of Oz, The Jungle Book, and Labyrinth are all in the top 10 or top 15 or something. And the soundtracks to those movies I've lived with my whole life. So, I don't know. Maybe I do like musicals. So, but I never meant one word, I never meant one word, I never meant one word I said. Oh, you can do Miss Piggy? Jessica Gonzalez says, I can do Miss Piggy. It really cracks my boyfriend. It really cracks my boyfriend up. Let's just recreate the Muppets. Yeah. Miss Piggy is kind of a cross. She's got a voice. It's really tough to do. I should have had Natasha talk about Miss Piggy. Because Miss Piggy is an incredibly abusive partner for Kermit. I don't know if they did that on purpose, but, she's physically abusive to Kermit all the time. That was kind of her thing, doing a karate chop. And usually because of her insecurities. She'll get jealous of Kermit and then beat him up. It's weird. They've used Muppets, the whole art form of Muppetry or whatever. Puppets go back hundreds of years, but Muppets, which I think are mouth puppets, really came of age in the age of TV. And that's why Jim Henson was such a big deal. Because he sort of reinvented, there were sock puppets, people with mouths and stuff. But he really, when he started out before Sesame Street, he was doing commercials and little educational stuff for children. And then, before, there was like Punch and Judy, I guess. But there'd be live puppet shows that wouldn't have mouths on the puppets. So Jim Henson and Sesame Street and all that really brought in what NanaBOOZHOO is all about. Is a certain kind of puppetry. And they've always linked it with educational stuff. And because of Sesame Street, I think a lot of it has also been connected to like multiculturalism and language. There was a lot of Spanish language stuff. And but when you think about it, like all the characters on Sesame Street have speech impediments, and it's part of what they kind of make fun of them. Me like cookie. He speaks with bad grammar, and he's got messed up voice. All of Bugs Bunny's that way too. All the characters, they stutter or they have a lisp or something. And in a way, you would think that if it's going to be educational, they should be modeling like good speech. Good. I don't know if that's even the right way to say it. As I grew up watching these educational shows, now I can't speak. Wayne Nana, do you remember? Gimmick Wayne Nana means do you remember? In Ojibwe I say, for do you remember? Gimmick Wayne Nana means do remember? Do you remember? Can make Wayne Dane and do you remember? Do you remember? What do you remember from your childhood? They say that the sense of smell will bring back memories. There's something connected in our brains between stuff we smell and memories. And for me, when I smell instant coffee, I'm immediately brought back to about 1983. I guess it was when I first started drinking coffee. My brother and I would stay up late, and after the parents went to bed, we, I mean, my parents just lived like robots. We could count on them not coming back out to the kitchen after 11 o'clock or something. So that's when we'd start smoking cigarettes just out in the open. And we drink coffee late into the night, talk about music and whatever. And I used to really like it and really like those times. And so now, sometimes I always keep a little instant coffee. And it's like an alternative to regular coffee. But just because the smell of it brings me back to a happy time. Have I really been doing this for 42 minutes? What time is it? 6:21? Oh yeah, I started early, didn't I? Gimmick Wayne Dane and what do you remember? Some people say we have amnesia, like as a people, like historical amnesia. There's big gaps in our remembering of what happened. Like building the railroad tracks. There's a story that somehow we imported a whole bunch of people from China to blow, like remember the scenes in Lone Ranger and Tonto with Johnny Depp? What I used to call them, the Anishinaabe clown posse. There's scenes in there where, when they go down there's always blowing stuff up with dynamite and tunneling through mountains and stuff and building this train. And building of the train was going to connect the East Coast and the West Coast and would change the world. And, but so history kind of records that they did that. And I could see building one train track in the historical time frame. But to build thousands of train tracks all over the country, interconnected and stuff, it's like, how did they do that really? What was the truth of that? Then I watched something on bricks, and they showed how bricks are made in a brick factory. And it's an amazing, pouring of cement and cutting bricks out in the different designs and then loading them into trucks and all the stuff that goes through just transporting bricks. And then they tell the history of North America. And the story is it was all undeveloped. And as Native people, we were just running around like the last of the Mohicans, almost Tarzan. But we didn't have the wheel. We didn't have any brick buildings. We didn't have the trains, certainly. We didn't have bridges. We didn't have anything. It was all post-Columbus and post a lot of stuff. That fuzzy time in history between Columbus and Ben Franklin, we don't really remember. Because like all these buildings get built and you go, okay, where did the bricks come from? How in the world did they build all these buildings? And then they made did they make the bricks on site? Because, I could see building mud huts and stuff on site. But when you're building, like Utah, the cathedrals in Utah, they had to bring in those marble and stone and bricks and millions of bricks. How did they get that here? On a wagon train? I don't know. I think we have amnesia. I don't think we know. I don't think we remember. I think the history books are all garbled science fiction. So we try to learn the language to uncover this mystery of what's going on? Getting deep on a Tuesday morning. Gonna take a freight train down at the station, Lord, and I ain't never coming back. Gonna take a southbound all the way to Georgia now, till that train run out of track. Can't you see? Can't you see what that woman, she's been doing to me? Can't you see? Brandy Marie, Brandy Marie, what you doing to me? Can't you see? Sheila Eddie and Brandy Marie, your names fit nicely, but nothing rhymes with Gonzalez. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to bring out NanaBOOZHOO to discuss the mystery of the history of the name Bemidji, Bemidji Gamug, Chief Bemidji, and what all this is about. You know, who was it? One of those philosophers. Socrates, I think his name was. Or Plato. I think it was Socrates. Said the first act of true wisdom, acquide ewin, is to admit you are ignorant. And what I've learned in the last couple of years is the more I learn, the less I know. You know? Or the more I learn, I realize the less anybody knows. Like we all kind of assume somebody else knew, somebody else paid attention better than we did in class. But then you start digging through stuff and you go, wait a second, that's the extent of what people know? I thought that was settled, you know, or like history. So Bemidji, the story of Bemidji, that I'll let NanaBOOZHOO talk about as soon as I get set up here in a not too awkward way. People think, oh, Bemidji was named after Chief Bemidji, the beloved chief of our people, Chief Bemidji. So let's name this town after the chief of this land, Chief Bemidji. But that's not what happened at all. There was never anybody called Chief Bemidji. I mean, history says that there was, but I'm even starting to doubt that. There's a word, Bemidji Gamug, Lake of Crossing Waters. That's what the lake was named by the Ojibwe people. So they named the town Bemidji. They could have named it Bemidji Gamug, but for some reason, and I'm just grateful they didn't name it after some Freemason like Cass, Lewis Cass, like Cass Lake did. But NanaBOOZHOO, do you want to tell the story of Chief Bemidji? Oh, there's one thing I should set up beforehand. I know. Let me just move the live stream over here. Boom. I guess not. So, is this the one? No, it's Lionel Richie. Image 3. No. I have a picture of what history records as being the tomb of Chief Bemidji. Why can't I find it? Because I didn't label it. La, la, la. Oh, here we go. I did label it. So here's the Bemidji Monument. Right. Not far from where I live, we have a cemetery. And the cemetery, I don't even know what the cemetery is called. But there's a tombstone there, and it says Chief Bemidji. And then there's one of those weird, Washington Monument things with a pyramid on top. And all it has is an Indian head nickel inscription there. And then it says Chief and Bemidji. And it's in a cemetery. And next to it is somebody else's tombstone. You can see the other tombstones in the back there. So it sort of suggests that Chief Bemidji, the man whose real name was Shedawishtung, the man who rattles, because there was a real guy who they say was Chief Bemidji, but his real name was Shedawishtung, in English, man who rattles. They don't have his real name there, or his birth date or death date. So what is it? And his family, who are now the Northbirds, they say he's buried out in Mission in Cass Lake. So what is this thing that our town's named after? It's the Bemidji Monument. So, I don't know. It's a mystery. How long has it been there? Why is there Freemason symbolism? Was Chief Bemidji a Freemason? Nobody can answer these questions. You've got so many questions for such a simple mind. Nah. When I was young, my drum is way over there. Should we move it? Yeah. Hold on, you guys. All right, I'm almost ready. I see you put the text on top. Looks great. Oh yeah, we're trying new stuff here. Brandy Marie likes our the graphics of the show. Jessica Gonzalez. Yeah, keep putting the text on top. It's helpful to see the words. Yeah. Okay, I will. Bemidji Gamug. Lake of the Crossing Water. So this is the story. Of how Bemidji got its name. This is the story of Chief Bemidji. So back in the days of the grandfathers, there was a man named Shedawishtung, the man who rattles. And I don't know for sure, but I imagine that he probably was a medicine man who had a rattle. You know, rattles are big with the medicine people. let's see what else. So Shena Wishkang lived here before the white people came. And I don't even know if he was necessarily a chief. But the day came when some white people came up, what the Anishinaabe would call chimokamen, the great knives, because they had these great big long knives. And so the chimokamen came up the Mississippi River in a canoe. They were being led. I don't know if they were being led. It doesn't even say. But somehow they ended up here. And they ended up meeting Shena Wishkang. And so the Chimokaman comes up and he's like, hey, how you doing? I am a Chimokaman. What's your name? And Shena Wishkang didn't speak English. So he thought they were saying, what is this place called? So he said, Bemidji Gamug. And the white guy goes, oh, did you hear that? Bemidji Gamug. I think this guy's a chief. I think he's a Chief Bemidji Gamug. Can you believe that, honey? We met an actual chief. Chief Bemidji. Wow. And Shena Wishkang was like, no, that's the name of the lake. It is the lake of the crossing waters. Because you see, a river runs right through it. There's a little, a stream that goes through. The water crosses right through the Lake Bemidji. So we call it Crossing Waters Lake. And the white guy was like, wow, Chief Bemidji. Well, we're going to start a town here, but don't worry, we're going to honor you by naming it after you, Chief Bemidji. We'll call it Bemidji. And Shena Wishkang was like, okay, fine, do what you want. This is just like when Columbus didn't believe we weren't called Indians. You know? Look, you call me what you want. And then the white people were like, and to honor your name, we will build a great statue right in front of Morales there. And it'll be a big plastic guy doing a Heil Hitler. And he's going to be shirtless, but he'll be wearing, boots. And he'll be waving at Paul Bunyan. Why don't you just call this town Paul Bunyanville? No, we'll leave it at Bemidji to honor you. You could call it Shena Wishkangville. That's what they should have called it. How about Man Who Rattlesville? Or something. But nope. It became Bemidji. And it just seems like that sloppy sort of history where they go, okay, kids, this is where the name of the town came from. It's like, really? Because that sounds made up. And it sounds like it's mixed with a real story. Because then here's the other part of the story they tell you that they don't teach you. But Shena Wishkang, he lived on the edge of the lake. And what history you can actually verify was that he was the first customer of the lumber mill that popped up there. He went in there one day and said, look, man, somehow I got money. And I'm going to build a wood floor for my wigwam. Got a dirt floor until then. And they're like, yeah, sure, man. We got some boards here. Got a planer. We'll sell you some lumber. So he goes home and he builds a wood floor. In his little wigwam there, It's like, oh, it's going to be really nice in here, sweetie. We've got a wood floor. Got a little stovepipe, wood heater, wood stove. Now we're living. And then, just as he got done fixing up his wigwam, the city came in and said, yeah, look, you got to go. We're going to take this land. We're going to build another lumber mill. And he was like, what do you mean I got to move? This is my house. I go, no, this is our house now. We call this place Bemidji. So you got to leave. Why don't you go back to the res? And then, I don't know if his descendants like me telling this part of the story, but Wikipedia records that Shena Wishkang goes, listen, what if I renounce my tribal membership? You wrote this new rule that says Indians can't live here, or own land. Guess what? I just unenrolled myself. Am I still an Indian? And they were like, nah, get out of here, long hair. You can't live here no more. And this is the story of how they honor Chief Bemidji. Oh, and so that's why he's probably buried out in Cass Lake. Because he did go back to Cass Lake. Is the story. Not as romantic as, oh, the mighty, what were they called? Pioneers. They explored the wilderness and they came upon this beautiful place and named their town after the chief of the indigenous people. And this is how, I mean, I don't think, sometimes, the story they tell, his story or her story, it really is just like a story. Sometimes they want that story to be like propaganda to make certain people look good. Or, lately, it's been propaganda to make certain people look bad. Now it's all, you can't learn about history without it all being, well, once upon a time there were these evil white people. You should blow up Mount Rushmore. It's like, you're working these kids up. I mean, if I can't believe your stories that make the white people look good, then I can't believe the stories that make them look bad either. Like Columbus, like, George Washington. So Lincoln was like Abraham Lincoln. I need to see another play like I need a hole in the head. Famous presidential quotes. John F. Kennedy Jr. I need to sit in another political parade like I need a hole in the head. Kurt Cobain. I need to sit in this attic of my house one more minute like I need a hole in the head. Too soon? Too dark? Quit making fun of people who got shot in the head. It's not funny. A lot of people get shot in the head. There's Kurt Cobain, Abraham Lincoln, John F. Kennedy Jr. You need another lover like you need a hole in your head, baby. So yeah, lighten up, lad. Don't tell me what to do. Lighten up. You know what got lit up? John F. Kennedy Jr.'s brains. The sun shone right in there. Oh, God. Hey. So yeah, that's Bemidji Gamug. It is the lake of the crossing waters. And we honor Chief Bemidji. A friend of mine was going to do that a statue. There's a new statue. It's not even that new. It's probably 3 or 4 years old now. But they built a statue of Chief Bemidji, Shena Wishkong. And even that, they had to write a inscription. This is a statue of Shena Wishkong, who some people, history records his name being Chief Bemidji. But blah, blah, blah. And then for some reason, they had to throw in that story of the Dakota people. And, back what they used to call the Sioux Uprising, when they went to war with the government. And there was what was that guy's name? It's not really that famous. But apparently, when they fought the white guys, oh yeah, this was a Colonel, I forget his name, but the Indians were starving to death, the Sioux people, one winter. They weren't getting their rations, and so they broke into the government building to steal the rations or whatever. And then the federal troops came, or somebody came, and they went to war with the Sioux. And they found this colonel or this general or somebody, This is probably made up, but the guy who said, when they said, oh, the Indians are starving, apparently the white guy said, let them eat dung. So when they found his body on the battlefield, he had dung in his mouth. As I tell that story, I realized that was probably made up. That probably never happened. But anyways, they put something in that about that story in the Chief Bemidji plaque. I was like, okay. Really had nothing to do with him, but I suppose. Anyway, injured back. I threw my back out. Anxiety. I threw my mind out. Oh, what? Yeah, no kidding. I have anxiety. I threw my mind out. You know what the anecdote for anxiety is? It's gratitude. They say you can't feel anxiety at the same time you feel gratitude. So, what is gratitude? Miigwech wendam. To feel grateful. Be glad that, anything. That's why near-death experiences are so transformative. If you've ever almost ran into a tree or almost, crashed or something, you get real grateful for just not having crashed. It's like, oh, could have been a lot worse. That's like what I always thought that was why my grandpa was so easygoing. He didn't really sweat the small stuff. Because he survived boarding school, and then he survived World War II, and then he survived being a logger and a tour guide, and he survived a tree falling on his head. He had a lot of near-death experiences, and he survived heart attacks or whatever. Once you come close to death, you get a lot of gratitude, and I think that helps you with anxiety. Anxiety is worrying about the future, and depression is worrying about the past. Or so they say. Hey, Scott. Thank you, Miigwech. I hope you have a great day. Gitche Manadu. You follow that Scott Bones around. Make sure that he is protected, if you will. That was my halfway prayer for Scott Bones. Gitche Manadu. That's a prayer for Scott Bones. We're so alone now that there's no Scott Bones watching the show with us. Yeah, 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 yeah. All right. Hoka hey. Have you ever had a dream? You ever had a dream where you're like your girlfriend's cheating on you, and you wake up and you're just mad at her? And she's all like, what? What'd I do? Oh, you don't know what you did? Hikes. It's just a dream. You ever have a dream, sweetie, where I was cheating on you? Yeah. Were you mad at me? Oh, I was really mad. You might as well have cheated on me because I was so angry. Yeah, it was all in your head. I don't know, man. If I could dream. I used to remember my dreams a lot better than I do now. Now, if I remember the dream, I feel like it's kind of a gift, like I was supposed to, like it stands out. But when I was a kid, I remembered every dream every night. And, all kinds of them. Nightmares, flying dreams, fighting dreams, dreams where I would fall in love with some girl, wake up all lonely, where I said goodbye to her, and I would have reoccurring dreams, and dreams are a big deal to the old Indian people, to the traditional people. There's a story about the guy who invented the sewing machine, that he had a dream of these natives come out with spears, and they had a spear with a hole in it. And it gave him the inspiration for how he would invent the sewing machine. Jessica says, "Oh, I went back to sleep after yesterday's show and had a dream that you did your Zoom meeting and all the attendees were puppets." No way! I just remembered now, like 27 puppets came to see NANABOOZHOO. Oh, wow. I love it. I hope that's true. Wouldn't it be wild if I showed up there tonight and everybody just brought puppets? Hikes, I'd feel a lot better about it. Jessica, your crazy dreams. Have you ever had a dream where somebody died and you woke up and you were like, wait a second, that person's still alive? I've had way more where it's the opposite, or a dead person comes back. You can kind of tell. I heard this, and I think it's true. Sometimes somebody who's taking their journey, you might have a dream about them. You might have a dream about grandma, and you'll wake up and you'll go, was that a dream about grandma? Or did she just visit me from the spirit world? And these are some signs you can tell if the dream was a visit. Because I've had both. When my grandmother has visited me in a dream, she comes back and she's like super healthy looking. She looks the same as I remember her, but almost glowing with good health. Even though she's like an old lady, her back is real straight. She's real strong. You know, she's got like a bounce in her step. She's so healthy. And her hair is still white, but it was like glowing white. And she barely talked, if she talked at all. But we were really happy to see each other. We danced together. And I wasn't sad. But somehow I knew it was her coming not to see me, but for me to see her. Like she was there to just kind of go, dude, by the way, I'm running heaven now. Everything's fine. Just wanted you to know, don't be sad. You know, we all end up super healthy and in heaven. Oh, and it's usually a party atmosphere. Like one time in my dream, it was like a funeral or something. It was a party like you would have, or a wedding feast, in the basement of the church. So it's like the folding tables and potluck and a bunch of people in their kind of, poor people dress up clothes, the polyester jackets and that. But I woke up and I went, oh, wow. Yep, I felt like that was different. That wasn't just me remembering my grandma. That was my grandma paying a visit. So I think our ancestors visit us in dreams. At least. Maybe they also visit us. I had a friend who believed that the birds, sometimes our loved ones who pass on will visit you as a bird. It was a sad story, but his daughter passed away. She was just a little girl, and he was grieving her. And on the day of the funeral, hummingbird came and flew right up, right in front of his face, and just, hovered there. And he watched it, and then the bird went away. And he goes, I could feel her. I could tell that was my daughter saying, hey, it's okay. Go to the funeral. I'm all right. So, yeah. Spooky. I was told in the lodge that 2 women were over me, and that stayed with me. Yeah, stuff like that, like guardian angels. You got 2 women. Like Three's Company there. Yeah, you probably got some guardian spirits. I wonder, do you think they're your ancestors, or are they just like helpers to get you Manadu? Were they there when your grandmother was alive? I mean, I don't know. Is your grandma still alive? Maybe they're your great grandma and your great auntie. Thanks. What do you think, Michael? I don't know. I sometimes just love talking about it. Yeah. Because in the matters of spiritual discovery or whatever you want to talk about it. There's no experts and everybody's an expert. You know? Some people, like a little kid, can have an insight. Some little kids remember the spirit world better than adults because it wasn't that long ago. They say elders, people who are just about to enter the spirit world, and little kids who just came from the spirit world have this special connection. And you see it sometimes, like a little 2-year-old will be just in love with old grandma or old grandpa, and he'll be on like a deathbed, and everybody else is kind of like afraid to get too close. But not the little baby. Little baby be just, hey, all right, look who's here. Just excited for some reason. Just love old grandpa. And it's because he's got about a week to go before he goes back to the spirit world. And the little baby was just there. And who knows? Maybe in the spirit world, it's just, I don't know. I felt like they're in on something that the rest of us don't quite know. It was my mom and my adopted mom. Oh, yeah, look at that. So in the spirit world, your biological mom and your adopted mom are both looking out after you. That makes sense, Oh, well, Jessica says, I read something in the Bible the other day that said the angels of children are constantly beholding the face of the Lord. I was like, the faces of children. Yeah, I think that's kind of true. We lose it as we get older. I mean, I don't want to quote Michael Jackson, but he was like, I see the face of God in every child. But I think there is something to that, All right. Well, Michael, it's just about that time. Did you want to say anything? No, why don't you send us out? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to have to mahjong. I'm going to have to leave. Majada. Let's go. Because Michael's hand is pretty much falling asleep. But it's been wonderful seeing you here at the BOOZHOO crew. And I want to wish you all a happy second day. And let's call it a show. I will see you again. Gigo of a min. Oh.